Hi guys, today I'm going to make myself something useful out of this that you might have seen me do a while ago, this twisted handle. I did it for a demonstration and it's just been sitting in the workshop going rusty, so I thought I'd actually make something out of it. I'm going to use it for my loft hatch at home. It's sort of sprung loaded hatch which you need to push up on to release the hatch, and then you pull the ladder down with a hook. So I thought I'd have a go. I found this rubber end which came off one of those walking sticks that they use, sort of outdoor walking stick thing. It did have a thread in the end there, but it's useless, so that's probably why it fell off. So I've rounded up the end of this just so that this is a good tight push fit. And then what I need to do is make a little hook that comes out from the side here. I'll probably rivet it on, so you push it up and then pull the ladder down with a hook. So I think I've found myself a bit of steel. If I can find it, I'll put it down somewhere. What have I done with that? Oh yeah, there it is. A little bit of 3/8 square. I'm just going to make myself a hook out of that. I'm going to draw this end down and then flatten it a bit further down and rivet it onto the side. So let's get this bit of square warm. Stick it in and get it underway. Turn her up a bit. Should heat up pretty quick. Right, get it nice and warm, give it some beans. I want a fairly long point on this because by the time you've turned the hook round, if it's not long, it'll make a very, very short hook, and I want it reasonable length so it goes through the hook in the ladder. As usual, draw it down square to start with. And you see it's reasonable length already. I'm going to round off that end but keep the other end square. The bit that goes onto the actual handle. I'm just going to draw it down a bit more. And just start rounding that end off. I'm not being too fussy at the moment. I'm going to flatten it yet. Just getting the general idea. And back here, I'm going to thin it out over the beak. Just because it makes life a bit easier than trying to do it on the flat. If you do it on the flat, you've got to flatten quite a few inches. Whereas if you do it on the beak, you only need to flatten what you need. Plus also it flattens out a bit quicker on the beak. See, I've just flattened back there. Inch and a half or so. So there's still a bit of a lump where it goes into the round, which we'll have to get out. Keep that bit round and square this up again where it's bulged. A bit more on there. Just cool out the tip. So with that being quite pointy, that's going to heat up really quick. What I'm going to do now is cut this bit off to about the length I want. I'll have to move the camera up so you can see. do it. Now I only want about 1.5 maybe 2 inches back of the taper. Some tongs. And that's our bit. So now I'm just going to square it all up, tidy it up, get it as sort of even as I can. You see basically it's come down now from 3/8 down to about probably just under quarter, I guess. Not quite 3/16. With it being fairly thin, it's going to heat up pretty quick. You've got to be careful not to get the point too warm. And then I'm just squaring it all up, and I'm just going to put a taper on the very end where it is going to blend into the handle. Put it over the edge of the anvil so you can hit it without hitting the anvil. That's sort of about what I want. If I can get hold of it properly, I'll show you. Right, it's nothing special. You can see it goes from round to back to square, and there's the taper on the end that's just camera focus, that's going to go down. Now this bit is obviously going to be the curly bit, and then I'm going to have rivet holes in there to rivet it onto the handle. So what we're going to do now is just warm up that end, very tip, put a first little hook on it, just for decoration really. Just the very, very end, just tickle it over and back on itself. I don't know if you'll be able to see that, I don't think the camera will focus properly, but you get the idea. It's just a little tiny hook on the end. And warm the rest of it up. Again, be very careful because that will get hot very quickly with it being thin. And what I'm going to do is just cool out the very, very tip so that I can actually hit the tip to bend it without damaging it. So just quickly dip it in there. Just see the end. Well, actually you can't see anything because I've forgotten to move the camera back, haven't I? But basically I'm just bending it round the anvil, just starting it. And again, it heats up very quickly, but it also cools down very quickly, so you've got to get a lot of heats, or you'll probably need a lot of heats, because it heats up, cools down really quick. I'm just going to pull this round a bit more. I'm getting there, but I've probably just realised that you can't actually see what I'm up to. That's better. Because I moved it up when I was cutting. Got to put it back. So basically, this is what I was doing. Just tap it round, pull it back, and then now I'm actually pulling on the tongs to pull that back, and that'll square that bottom edge up. That's basically it. Really, just tidy it up, tickle it about. When I'm doing that, I'm usually not necessarily doing a fat lot, but I'm thinking about what I've got to do next. Sort of ad-libbing a bit. Alright, so that's basically it. Just got to put my rivet holes in to rivet it to the handle. So we'll mark them up, I think. I'll cool it out first, and we'll Probably centre punch them. There it's cooled out. Again, it's nothing fancy, and I'm going to tidy this end up a little bit where it's all nasty. That's where it was cut. But we're going to give it a drill. Now the rivets I've got will just about reach through here, and that's about the place I want to put it. Roughly there, so I'm going to clamp it on and drill my holes just to mark. Well, drill my holes first, obviously. And this is a quarter drill bit, because the rivets I've got are quarter. I'd like to have used smaller, but the smaller rivets I've got aren't long enough. It's not working. Never mind. Right, so there's the holes. Just check the rivet goes in. Yep, nice fit. You see, they would have been better if they'd been slightly thinner, but as I say, they're the only ones I've got that are long enough. So what I'm going to do now is clamp that on to the side of the handle, the position I want it, and just spot the holes in the 1/2 inch square. Right, take the rubber off because that's in the way. Put another block of wood on crossways, and we're just going to spot that hole. Don't need to drill right through it, just need to put a spot. If you, there you go, you can just see it. If you drill right through it with the other bit on, it will often make the hole in the first bit larger, which isn't particularly desirable, so it's just as easy to just spot it. See if I can get this working now. Yeah, there we go. Working now. That's just cutting fluid. It's a soluble oil. It's an oil that's basically soluble in water. You put a cupful to a gallon of water, and it makes drilling, lathe tool, anything like that easier. There we go. I'm going to try the rivet through. Make sure it fits. There you go, and you'll see that the rivet's only just long enough. It just sticks out probably 1/16 of an inch or so. What I'm going to do is countersink that so they'll sit in there quite nicely and flush. So what I'm going to do is leave the first one in so it can't move, and then just quickly spot the other one. Again, just need a spot. Take that out, and then just drill through. Bit more cutting oil. Amazing how much difference it makes. Either this cutting fluid, or you can get like a paste. It really does make a difference. Right, there you go. The two holes. Bit of focus. I don't know why this camera takes so long to focus. There you go. A couple of holes. I'm going to countersink the back there, which will get rid of all those rough edges. Just use this little countersink. You could just use a bigger drill if you hadn't got a countersink. Another block of wood, get it up high enough. That's too fast, so I'm going to drop the speed on that. Just at high speed it'll chatter, so just drop it down. Give it a quick go in both the holes. There you go. Nicely countersunk. Just a touch. It's not a lot. Just so that I can rivet those into there. Alright, well this thing is called a snap head. Again, if it'll focus. Solid lump of iron with a hole in it and a domed hole in it. The hole is for if the rivet is long enough, as I say these aren't, they only just protrude through, but if they were long enough, sticking out, you'd stick the hole in the snap head over the shaft and just give it a tap and it tightens everything up. So if the rivets are a little bit tight, and then you turn it over, put that domed over the head and hit the end. I'm going to just stick this in the vise for now because I'm just going to do these two. You need to get it nice and tight because it will drop down even with a small hammer. And what I tend to do is, if I'm doing a lot of them, is put a piece of metal in between the bottom of that and the top of the vise there, so it can't move down. But as I'm just doing the one today, I won't bother. Usually just shove a bit of box section or something that will fit tightly over there and stop it. Alright, so I've got both of them in, because if you don't put them both in, you might find that it will slightly move and you won't get the second one in. So if you can, put them both in. And just with the ball peen, you can see it dropping already, and now I'm not hitting that very hard, and that's tight in the vise. And then the same with the second one. And turn over and use the flat of the hammer. And there you go. The camera will focus nice and flush. And that's riveted right into those countersinks, and that ain't coming off. It's not pretty, but it's effective, it's done. So what I'm going to do is give it a quick clean up with the wire brush, and then when I get it home I'll probably warm it up and lacquer it, or not lacquer it, I beg your pardon, wax it. Just stick some wax on it instead of painting it. So I'm going to give it a quick clean with the brush, let you have a look. Right, there we go. Just run the electric wire brush over it, just take the scale off, and that will do the job nicely, I reckon. That was the handle I did in the last demo, or the other demo, a demo. I was thinking about putting a twist or something nice in the middle, but to be honest with you, I can't be bothered just for this. Just whack that on, the rubber. Doesn't look very pretty, but I don't want to damage the paintwork on my loft hatch. So there you go. Push up on the loft hatch, then pull your ladder down. With the hook. And also, if you get burglars, you can beat them over the head with it. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Hopefully it'll do the job, and we'll catch you on the next one. Speak to you later.